All right, all right. Hello, everybody. Go back to the comments here. Welcome to the next edition of STATURDAY Chat Live here on Saturday, March 11th, 2023. So glad that you all have stopped by the live stream today. It's always good to see you every 2 weeks here on the stream. And yeah, so I'll do a few channel updates and kind of what I've been working on and stuff like that. Then, of course, as you all know, if you have been here before, feel free to put your comments or whatever or questions in the chat, and I will get to those as soon as I can. If you are new to the stream, this is kind of how it works. I hang around for about 30 minutes or more if the chat is going well and there are plenty of questions to answer. And if not, we'll go ahead and end it. But go ahead and put into the chat where you're watching from, any questions or comments you have, and then I'll go through here in a second and just kind of address them, you know, one by one, the ones that I think that I can answer. If I don't get to your question or I can't answer your question here in the live stream, you can always send me a message, preferably on LinkedIn, because I have like, you know, a record of everyone's conversations on there. And then maybe I can address it, you know, off the stream. So that's kind of the way this works. And we'll go ahead and get started. So if you're watching this on the restream, again, thank you for your time. I appreciate you stopping by YouTube after the fact to watch, of course. All right. So let me know where you're watching from. I like to know where everyone is chiming into the stream from in the chat, and then we'll get going. So on the channel, what's coming up? So I have been working on the next video, the long form video on the channel. It has to do with time series, specifically moving averages. So I'm going to leave here after the stream, go up to the coffee shop, put some last minute touches on it, kind of run through it a few times, and probably come back and record it today when I get back from the coffee shop, and hopefully edit it, and it'll be out sometime early next week. At least that's my goal. It's pretty much ready to roll. I just want to go through it a few more times, as you can imagine. So look for that new video, the new full-length video, out early next week on time series, specifically beginning of moving averages. Also, if you're a subscriber, which I hope you are, you've probably noticed, or hopefully have seen, over the past couple of weeks, I've been releasing some YouTube shorts regularly for the first time. So one of the things, the main thing I've been doing over the past 2 weeks since we last spoke, is that I made a firm commitment to actually learn R. So I have used R as a tool in the past if I needed to do something or, you know, whatever else that only it could do, and then I would not use it for a while. So I've committed, I knew it would happen one day, I've committed to actually learning it. So in that process, I was like, you know what, I can make some shorts that kind of go along in parallel with my learning process in R and kind of break it down into very small chunks. You know, specifically in those, the first set were like kind of how to set up R, how to set up a project, how to set up your environment, use a ligature font or a coding font, however you want to call it. The second batch had been some basics of the tidyverse. And then, you know, I'm going to probably release some more like that over the next couple of weeks and kind of see how they go. So, so there's going to be some content, the usual content, which are longer form videos, you know, on time series and stuff like that. And then there'll also be, as I get to them, the YouTube shorts that will primarily deal with little things in R here or there to kind of help people learn it as well. A lot of people are intimidated by R and Python. You know, most of us come from environments where we have nice, pretty user interfaces with buttons and menus, and, you know, it's very user-friendly in that regard. And then when we get into an environment that has a caret or a cursor blinking at us, and I guess it's on this side, and some people freak out, you know. So I'm not a natural coder. So even though I started coding very young, probably, when was that? It had to be late elementary or middle school. I did some courses at a local university, actually University of Cincinnati. There were Saturday courses on coding in BASIC. That tells you how long ago that was. But it just never really kind of was a thing because, you know, I'm almost 50 years old. So computing wasn't a thing, really. The internet wasn't a thing until after I was well out of high school. So this was like my late undergraduate when things started to pick up. So it wasn't really around part of, you know, just classes and what we did, you know. And actually, when I'm learning R and stuff, the worst thing for me is my typing is not the greatest, because when I was in high school, you know, typing class was we're on typewriters. You know, there was no internet back then. So learning R for me, part of what makes it slow is that I'm not the greatest typist, and I use 3 different keyboards on desktop, laptop number 2, and my finger memory just hits wrong keys because I'm using different keyboards all the time. So anyway, so I'm learning R. I'm going to talk more about that today because I'm going to share some resources with you that I found, and you can bookmark them or share them with other people. Then I'll probably make a LinkedIn post similar to this about the resources I've been using to learn it, and we'll go from there. So everything on the channel is full steam ahead, full-length content time series, some shorts content primarily in some R stuff, and we just keep going. So after I kind of go through a few comments here, I'm going to show you some of the resources I have found at all levels, and all, I don't know, depth and width with respect to learning R. And I know there are many more. Okay. So I'll share those resources with you, and you can mark those in your browser, and we can talk about, you know, whatever you want regarding that sort of thing. Okay. So that's sort of the channel update. Stay tuned, and we'll just keep full steam ahead. All right. So I'm going to the chat here. Hello, Anchor. Hello. It's good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. Excellent. Thanks for stopping by. Reef, it's good to be here again. Thank you so much for stopping by again. I do appreciate it. Good to see you again. Destin, happy Saturday, Brandon. Thanks to your videos, I aced my doctoral comprehensive exams. Everybody, give Destina a clap in the chat, please. That's awesome. Congratulations, Destina. You did all the hard work, though. So, you know, people like me just put the content out there, and it's up to people like you to put the time in to watch it and learn it. And you know, that's the effort. So congratulations to you. That is awesome. You've accomplished something that I had hoped to accomplish someday, but didn't get to it because of the Great Recession. But that's awesome. So happy for you. Very, very happy and proud of you, actually. So great. All right, here. Glenn, coffee for the win. Absolutely. I haven't had my coffee yet, because if I have it now and then I go to the coffee shop and have more, you know, I'll be like completely tweaking out on coffee, and don't want that. So I'll have my coffee when I get to the coffee shop in about an hour. But yes, can't wait. Good to see you, Glenn, my friend. Hope you're doing well. That's not, yeah, the shorts have been amazing. Good. I'm glad you found them helpful. So yeah, some more to come. And here's the thing. As you all probably know, either explicitly or intuitively, when you're learning something, one of the best things you can do is create some sort of content or artifact that is in parallel with what you're learning. So this could be anything. The most common thing we do is we take notes, right? So we're learning something, we take notes, we have a parallel artifact we can go back and look at. Or we're learning something, we create like flashcards, right? We can go back and review those. You know, we're learning something, or in my case, I'll make a video. So I'm, you know, really focusing on learning R officially, like formally. So while I'm there, why not make some content while I'm there, right? Because it's already there. All I do is type the commands and record it. It's not that difficult. So they're kind of going in parallel, right? So I'm learning it and making some content along the way, because it's 2 birds with 1 stone. And by making the little short videos, guess what it does for me, right? It helps me remember things too. So win, win, win. All right. So why did you pick R over Python? So good question. One of the primary reasons that, well, I've used Python too in the past. Again, I've used R and Python as just tools. So if I needed to do something, then I would use it to do that thing and then put it back on the shelf. So one of the primary reasons, well, there are 2 primary reasons I'm I chose R, at least at this stage? Well, there's a few reasons. Number one of the first reasons is that in my 9-to-5 job, of course, we work with higher education institutions, professors and students and stuff like that. In higher education, it is dominated by the usage of R. So in statistics classes, business stat classes, and everything else, it's almost entirely R-based, okay? So me learning R syncs up with that fact of my 9-to-5 job. Number two, so because I work in statistics, R is a specific statistics language. That's what it was built for and was built by. So it really gravitates towards that sort of analysis and so on. One of the third reasons, which I'll get to here in a minute, is that some of the free resources available to learn R are incredible. So, I'll get to those, but some of the resources to learn R are incredible and they're so well done, and you'll see here in a minute when I show you. And I guess also the fact that RStudio makes everything so easy, and there are so many other things built into it. So not only can you write your scripts, but as I'll show you here in a second, you can write your R Markdown in there as well. You can, if you really want to go crazy on the presentation side of things, you can use Quarto, which is a really great presentation aspect that's built into R. I find the packages in RStudio a bit easier to learn. Jupyter Notebook is great, but it's just kind of like, thing by thing. So yeah, so that's kind of why I chose R. There's several reasons why I chose R. And I probably had more past experience with R coming into formally learning it than I had with sort of Python. And I know once I get further into R that learning more about Python will be easier, because once you learn one, learning the other one tends to be a bit easier. It's kind of like a foreign language in a way. Once you learn one, you see similarities, and there are fundamental programmatic concepts that are unique to all sort of programming language, right? So that's why I chose R. That's a long answer to your question, Glenn. But that's the one I said just kind of decided to focus on for now, and I'll show you some of the things that I've been using to do that here in a second. Okay. All right. Let's see here. What's this live stream about? Hopefully you know by now. Anchor says, I like R, but in my data science experience, I have used a 20% of R, 20% of R than I have Python. Yeah, really this depends on your field. It depends on, what you're learning, where you're studying and so forth. So like I said, with my 9-to-5 job the way it is and what it involves and the type of customers and students we work with in my 9-to-5 job and my prior experience, my stats background, it just made sense to pick one, and I just kind of picked R formally for now. Okay. I have telecom churn case study codes in R. I will share the link with you on LinkedIn. Yes, please. I appreciate that very, very much. All right. Then says, yippee, yes, I'm so excited. You broke it down simpler than I thought. Good, that's the point. The idea of the R shorts is to break it down into piece by piece by piece in an intuitive way, because it's really hard to get some small concept. Like a short can only be a minute long. You have only 60 seconds. So one, you have to break it down into small pieces. And if you notice in those R shorts, especially the ones from this past week, it's not just the code aspect. I'm also putting graphics in there that kind of show you graphically what's happening. So, if you're arranging, ascending or descending, if you're summarizing, if you're selecting columns, or if you're filtering rows, I kind of put graphics in there that show graphically what's going on, and then I show the code all in under 60 seconds. So if you haven't checked those out, there's a playlist on my YouTube channel. It's RStudio Shorts, and they should play right in a row, I think. So check those out. And if you have any suggestions for them, this is something I'm kind of experimenting with. So if you have any suggestions on ways to make them better or things you might want to, see in there, please. It's kind of an experiment. So let me know. I'm more than happy and welcome to take your suggestions, of course, because I do it for you all. That's why I do it. Okay. I'm going to get to a few more comments. I'm going to show you some of the things that I've been using to learn R, and a few of others. We can look those up too as we go. I think it'll be helpful. And I'll open our studio. I actually have our studio open. I'll kind of show you how I arrange things. That might help too. So, hello, Brandon. Raghav here from Bangalore. Happy to be here with you again. I'm happy you are here. I'm happy to be here with you as well. Great to make it by today. I finished DE and a course on modeling, currently taking dynamical modeling and chaos using a book from Stephen Strogratz. My head might explode. That just sounds migraine inducing. Just reading that sounds migraine inducing. So yeah, there's so many tangents and cool things to learn. I feel my finite math itch starting to, come back to. So I went down a rabbit hole on YouTube of like matrix algebra and matrices, and I'm excited about that again. The problem with me about learning stuff is that there are like 27 things I want to learn all at once. I just have to pick one. Congrats, Desna. Best wishes. Absolutely. Congrats, congrats, congrats. We are so happy for you. Arab says, completely agree. I use Notion app for creating notes and use a knowledge gain from you for my own research. Absolutely, yes. Actually, it's funny you mentioned Notion because I just got a Notion account. Here's the paradox of Notion. I'm sitting there, kind of learning how to use it, and you can do so many cool things in there. Of course, Notion AI now makes it even cooler. But I'm also sitting there in Notion thinking, is my goal to organize my life in Notion, or to make my life so simple that I don't have to? And right now I'm at the latter. I'm trying to make my life as simple as possible so I don't have to have, 17 Notion pages to keep it all organized. All right. But yes. Thanks. Anderson, I picked Python over R for the same reasons. Our biggest difference is my past experience with Python, right? I think they're two paths to the same place. Absolutely. And eventually those paths intertwine because you can do one and the other now, right? So you're not really limited to one ecosystem because you can actually do one and the other. Getting to a point where I need to look at a school for a master's degree. Can you help me decide if applied math or applied statistics is a better path? I'm not positive of the differences. It depends on what you want to do, my friend. So this is always one of those cases where I tell people to start with the end and work backward. So if you know what type of position you want to be in, or what type of company or field or whatever you want to be in specifically, there might be one of the two might be a better path to there. Or if you're not sure, one might be more applicable generally, whereas one might be more applicable specifically. So think about where you want to end up and maybe work backwards. So yeah, I like learning at 61. I just wanted to keep learning. Absolutely. Yep, we are kindred souls, as are many people on the channel and in the chat as well. Just want to keep learning. So that is why I exist. All right, so keep all your questions, comments, or thoughts, whatever, keep those coming in the chat. And then here, just for the next couple of minutes, what I want to do is show you, and I'll put the links to these also in the chat, and they will be in the description for this video on YouTube after it's done. So I'll go back and add in each one of these in the description. So if you don't happen to get them now and put them in your browser or whatever else, they'll be there later. All right. Or if you just want to look, now's a good time for that. All right. So let me show you the first one that I think is amazing. It's kind of self-evident that it's amazing. Let me share here. Share my screen. All right. So So as I said, I am formally learning R, kind of self-teaching myself with resources. I'm not doing any sort of formal class or anything. I'm just going through these resources and learning. So the first one is definitely this. So this is the R for Data Science book. It is free. As you can see, it's online. Duh. There are print versions. So this is the print version. I have it just for a reference. This is the first edition. What you're looking at on the screen is the second edition. Okay. So this is written by Hadley Wickham. So if you have done anything in the R space or read or seen or watched videos about R, you will know that Hadley Wickham is like the person when it comes to R. And so is Garrett Grolemund. So they are the authors of this, obviously, because their name is on it. And if you go to the Posit website, so Posit is now the company that's sort of the umbrella of R, you'll see a lot of videos from them on the channel proper. So as you can see here, it covers everything from data transformations, tidying, visualizing, of course, it's all ggplot, transforming. Then it goes into things like importing and some programming and some communication. So it covers the whole gamut. There's 30 chapters in this book. So for example, so here's the tidying chapter. So obviously there are examples you can work, and I'll kind of show you how I did that. So not only are there, written components to the book, there are also graphics. There's obviously a lot of code. Sometimes they'll give you different exercises you can try. If you want to try things outside of the examples they're doing here, you can copy the code. There's a little button here you can copy the code with and then paste it. One of the things I found out by learning this stuff is that I've resisted well the temptation to copy code from this book and put it into our studio. I type it all out by hand manually for several reasons. One, I'm trying to learn it. So by typing it, one, my fingers are learning their memory. So my fingers are learning how to type things. And there's actually, believe it or not, when I learn stuff like this, I listen to the sound. So when I'm typing like a ggplot, so I'm like ggplot 2, blah, 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 like it makes a sound. On my keys, that's the same because I'm typing the same thing over and over again. So I'm trying to get muscle memory, I'm trying to get, mental memory. So I type it all out by hand each time. And then I make mistakes. I allow myself to make mistakes. So I go back and find out what went wrong, and that I learn from that too. So what I've done is, go back here. So this is all my work in this book. I have coded this entire book in 2 weeks. And I've used R Markdown to do it. So I went in, it's actually, it's an R Markdown document where you can run chunks at a time and things like that. And as you can see over here, the last couple of chapters are on Quarto, so it's not really about this. But I coded the whole book by hand. I finished last night. So everything that you see in here, on all 30 chapters, I did all that in 2 weeks, line by line, in our Markdown books. So you can see here, it's really cool. You can just, if you're not familiar with it, you can run each chunk of the code one by one, and it shows you the output as you go. It's pretty cool. There's your graph. So yeah, so this is the main resource I've been learning right now to learn R. I just code it all by hand. All right. So let me go back over here. Yeah. So let me put this in the chat for you all. This is the latest version right here. All right. So if you want to copy that and put it in your browser, put it in your bookmarks, it is right there for the learning. Okay. So that's the main thing. Now, there are some other resources I came across that I'll also share with you briefly. I will also put those in the chat as well, so you can kind of see. So in addition to this, so this is another free book. I haven't done this yet, but I'm kind of learning, the first level of R first before I get into this kind of stuff. But this is another free book on advanced R. So if you're if you already have R experience and you're learning to learn more, complicated, more involved type of stuff, this is a free advanced R book by the same author. Okay, so it's all the same type of thing. All right. So vectors, code chunks, everything like that. So if you like to learn some more advanced things in R, there you go. All right. So, no problem. Sam says, wish I could watch this all live. Got to jump on a Zoom. We'll watch it back. Excellent. It's always on YouTube, so you can always go back and watch it. So that's the advanced R resource. Okay. So that link is in the chat. So you can copy that and put it in there as well. So eventually I'll get to this, but I'm still just finished the other one, like I said last night. Another one, hands-on programming with R. Okay, so advanced R was written by Hadley Wickham. This hands-on programming with R is written by the other author, Garrett Grollement. Okay, so again, same thing. So this is more sort of hands-on projects and stuff like that. So if I go back, I don't know, let's see here. If I go to chapter 7, yeah. So working with vectors and so on and so forth. Okay. So this is probably more on the programming side than like the analysis side. Because, R is a functional programming language. It can do functional programming, but it's not necessarily about data science per se. Or is data science focused. Okay. So this is a bit more hands-on with the programming side. Those are those. Again, obviously these are all free because it's a website, right? So there are print versions, but this is probably the next thing I'm going to do. Again, by Hadley Wickham. If you're going to learn something like R, the primary people you should learn it from are the people who write the packages. And it's all free, right? So this is the ggplot book. Same type of idea. Okay. Explanation, examples, all kinds of fun, cool stuff. So I think, once you learn the basics of R, going more into the visualization side of things is very beneficial. So I'm going to be doing that next probably. So here is the ggplot2 book. And again, if you don't get to these now, I will put them in the description of the YouTube video. So this is the ggplot book. All right. This is kind of more nuanced. If you do some time series type stuff, this is about a package called digraph, and I'm going to learn it obviously because I'm doing time series stuff on the channel right now. But makes some interactive time series plots with multi-facet or multi-axis plots. So you can do all kinds of cool stuff. All right. So I just kind of breeze through it. But if you do some time series stuff, this is something I'm going to learn as well. So that's that one. Some of these are a bit more esoteric, but I will just kind of show you nonetheless. If you've heard of Shiny, so Shiny is an interactive sort of app platform that runs on top of R. It has to run on a server somewhere, so there's a Shiny server, or you kind of have to like do something locally. But it's just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, so you can do things like, let's see here. I can show you what this looks like. I have an example here. Yeah, like here. So like input fields, sliders, drop-down boxes, stuff like that. You can do those with Tidy if you're interested in the more interactive type stuff. Yeah, so here, like here's an example. Here's a live version of this app. Give it a second to load. This is really cool, but it definitely is like on the higher end of the learning. So drop down menu where you can do different sorting and stuff like that. Data, graph, and it's all interactive. That's what Shiny is, if you're not familiar with that. One thing I know I have to learn more about is GitHub. So if you're not familiar with GitHub, it can do a lot of different things, but it's mainly a place where you can place your code in a repository. You can put different files there as well. All kinds of cool things you can do with it. I have a GitHub, page or account or whatever, but I never really used it a whole lot. So I'm going to try to get into using more of the GitHub stuff because one, I can post code there for you all, and it gives a place where the project can live, and I can always work with it wherever I'm at. And you can share it and collaborate and things like that. So if you are interested in learning more about GitHub, that is that. Okay. Anything else? This one's more about like, it's not really how to learn R per se, but it's more about sort of like the process and etiquette of keeping a code notebook of what you do, why you do it, where it's all located, so on and so forth. So it's more of like an organizational type guide that was recommended in the R book that I showed you. So if you want to like learn more about that, this is there as well. So right now, this is the main one that have gone through. Like I said, I've coded all 30 chapters in 2 weeks, and it's starting to sink in. The way my mind works is that I have to like go through it, let it settle for a little bit, and then like my brain starts making connections, and then I find something similar and work that, and then it all starts to make sense, right? So that has sort of been my R sort of journey. Like I said, if you like a print book, they do have print versions. Now the website is the second edition. There's not out in print yet because it's not final. So this is the first edition. It's in print. The website is the second edition that will be in print, but is mostly done. Okay. All right. So that has been my time with R. Always keep your stuff nice and organized. So I did that all with R Markdown. You can always know where you're at, and so on and so forth. Okay. So if you have any questions about that, go ahead and put those in the chat. I'll be happy to address anything related to my last couple of weeks learning R, or any other resources you might. If you have resources, you can post those. We can look at those, or whatever your thoughts might be when it comes to R and similar type things. Okay, so let me go back to my face for radio and figure out where we left off in the chat. Not that I was on that tangent with our stuff. So Raghav asks, I'm a BB certified with ASQ. 3 options I have is data science, master black belt, or PMP. I'm already a manager position with a team of 5 green belts members. Any guidance? Are you talking about what guidance on which 3 of those to choose out of the data science, master black belt, or PMP? I do believe there is a woodpecker hammering on the side of my house. It's a very weird sound. Odd. I did have a woodpecker once that was hammering on top of my chimney stack, and it sounded like a jackhammer. It was a very weird day. So of these 3, sorry, that was a weird aside. Any guidance in what way, Raghav? For employability, for the highest salary, for easiest way to find a job, for what? It all depends on, one, your natural interest in those topics, what you ultimately want to do with your career, and where you see yourself, you know? So maybe you can give me a bit more context on what is it about those three and what do you hope to do maybe with each path? It's kind of, as they say, I do not have enough information to properly answer this question. So maybe you can, maybe you have already. All right, so yeah, put something in the chat. Maybe I can chime in more if I know a bit more. Rackhaf. All right. Stradivas, hope I'm saying that correctly. I try to say everyone's names properly. What do I think about sentiment analysis? I think it can be very helpful. You know, it all depends on how you frame the sentiment of what it is you're doing. So I guess there is, obviously some subjectivity in there, but just like anything else, sentiment analysis, like anything else, is just a tool among many. I'm not certain I would rely on it 100%, but as a part of a panel or a comprehensive set of tools to reach some research objective, then yeah, great. Nothing wrong with it. At least in my experience or what I've seen. So let's see here. Those are all me. Can you make videos about non-parametric regression, like quantile regression and robust regression? Maybe at some point. I'm going to write those down though. Boudica. Always have my trusty notes I always keep during these live streams. And robust. So I can look into those a bit more. So I think I probably may have come across those once in a class or, or a book somewhere. So I might have to look more into them, but it's possible. It is possible. All right. Shot, if you want help with GitHub. Yeah, I might ping you on that, Glenn, because, it's not something I'm totally all that comfortable with. I still think it's a bit clunky, it seems to me. I'm not using like the Git command line or anything like that. It's just, I just kind of want to put my R projects in there and like some CSV files for people, and that's it for right now. So that's kind of my level of interest in getting too far into GitHub. But it can be very helpful. Like in many of the tutorials that I watch to learn or whatever else, they'll say, here, you can either go to my GitHub and download this, or here's the link to the data set, blah, 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 that CSV, like, GitHub user or whatever. You can just plop it in and it downloads the data. So I kind of want to have it for stuff like that, is what I see myself primarily using it for. Because I'm not on a team of coders, or I'm not working on some other project where I need, to fork the code and work on it and put it back together. I don't need that. I just need it to put stuff. So if you have any suggestions on using it just to put stuff there, yeah, let me know. Let's see. Da-da-da-da. Yes, you are right. I'm not sure what I'm right about, but we're usually right once a day. So, the woodpecker brings me back to what we were modeling this week: elimination of nuisance birds. A lot of non-math emotions, which are not easy to set aside. Yeah, it's springtime, so we got all kinds of animals are waking up. All right. Let's see. Michael, I'm putting this up here because I'm not sure how to respond. Might want to do this offline. Maybe someone else in the chat could chime in. I have a scale on a conveyor. Destructive weights. So the weight passes once, and I can remove it for verification only one time as it breaks apart. I've typically used a paired t-test for calibration. What would you recommend? All weights have one set target. So I'm trying to envision what this is in my head, Michael. I might go back to LinkedIn and look at and try to think about this more, or maybe you can contact me on LinkedIn. And I can maybe chime in. I'm trying to actually visualize like a scale on a conveyor, destructive weight, so the weight passes once, I can remove it. Verification only once it breaks apart. Pair t-test for calibration. Yeah, I'm trying to think of the process before I can really recommend or kind of chime in on that. I would need to fully understand what I'm actually reading here and what it actually looks like in the flesh for the process. Top of my head, process control can maybe be something to look into. If you are hypothesizing against a target, I mean, you may be doing what you are already doing. So anyway, so Michael, maybe we can meet about this on LinkedIn, maybe a bit further once I can understand exactly what's sort of going on. I'm trying to make a picture in my head about what this process is, and that might take some time. Okay, so I'm not dismissing your question. I'm just trying to really understand it so I can give you a good answer. The cover page is repo names and my GitHub username to make a fancy index or some more GitHub. Yeah, I need to get into a little bit GitHub stuff. So as I get into more programming languages and stuff like that, I want to have a place to keep everything. And if I'm going to do tutorials on YouTube related to R or use R in a video as a tool, I'd like to have a place where the viewer can just copy and paste the URL to the CSV or whatever, and then import that. So that's kind of like what I'm hopefully looking for. Okay, where are we at on time? 45 minutes. All right. So, oh, here we go. So I decided to stay at my current organization, happy with the salary part as well. I want to handle more BB projects, grow my team size, work on a promotion. Yep, coding is tough for me as it is for me too. Don't want to go any more deep with statistics. So that leaves with PMP, I guess. Hey, there is nothing wrong with PMP right now. So, that is some really valuable stuff. So are you you want to go towards your certification? Is that what I'm understanding? I can pull this up. Yeah, so going for the PMP, the certification. I hear it's pretty intense. It's pretty involved. So is this what you're going for, my friend? Yeah, I mean, I know people that have done that, and I think it's very valuable. It's definitely involved, I would say, but yeah, I don't think you can go wrong there. The PMI Project Management Institute is a great institute. So yeah, I don't think this would, depending on what you want to do, of course, and how you think it might help your career or your current career or your future goals, nothing wrong with going this route, right? And project management type stuff can be pretty applicable to many different things, right? So I think that can help. Oh, so thank you, Glenn. Appreciate that. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, I don't say it a whole lot or anything, but any sort of super chat or donation you can provide to the channel helps. It keeps me pumped full of coffee. Honestly, I use almost all of it at the coffee shop to keep me going. So yeah, I appreciate that very much, Glenn, very much. Yeah, so if I'm gonna put this up here, I'll probably be over top of this. Yeah, so super chats and PayPal tips are always welcome. It does help me. I know everyone is strapped for cash, and things are tight right now for everybody, so I know that. But if you have $5 or something like that, $5 is 2 cups of coffee for me. So when I leave here in 10 minutes or so, that's kind of right where I'm going. So I don't use it to like buy Ferraris and crap. I use it in the channel. Okay. So thank you, Glenn. I appreciate that very much. That is very, very kind of you. Thank you. Okay, so before we go, just another reminder. Obviously, you know where the channel is. So if you're interested in the shorts, so this is going to look different, because this is mine. But you'll see an RStudio Shorts playlist here. So if I click on that, you'll see all of them here, and they'll all be in the on the side. So obviously, because they are shorts, they're all under a minute. So you can watch all of these shorts in less than 10 minutes, all of them. And here, I'll just let this play. So this is kind of one, where I teach people to set up new projects. And then one of the newer ones that just came out this week, I'll kind of show you what those look like. So here's the one on mutate. So go graphically. How this process works. So here's the graphical representation. And then we go into R, and I kind of show you how this process works. So we kind of learn each of the main functions in the tidy, not functions like literally, but one of the main aspects you do for data wrangling. We just do them step by step. So those are the R shorts if you haven't seen them, but you can find them all on the channel. Close that. And I know, students find those helpful because they're short. It's like a quick thing, and it's all broken up into a piece. So you're like, oh, okay, here is this, one thing at a time. All right. So yeah. Da-da-da-da. So, Brad asked, do you have any textbooks? Do you mean textbooks that I have written? Is that what you mean, Brad? If you're still in there, let me know exactly what you want. I have a whole wall of textbooks to my right, but do you mean any that I personally have written? Because if it's about have any of I personally written, the answer is no. I'm not an author. But my day job is to work on many, which I have right over here. So if you want to see a couple of them. Okay, you said yes. So I'm not an author, Brad, but I do work at a company that makes them. And here are some of the ones I work on a daily basis. Just really quickly. Grab a couple here. I'm gonna grab the ones that I can reach. Hell's bells. Now you got me grabbing books. You always do this to me. All right, so very quickly. So the list of books that I work on a daily basis, sort of my 9-to-5 job at Cengage Group, Cengage Learning, there's like 30 books on that list. But here are the main ones, and they're kind of from the same family. So the main one is this one. Actually, let me take my face off here so you can actually see here. All right, so this is the main one that I would say is sort of the biggie. So this is Statistics for Business and Economics. This is the market leading books in business statistics. It's been around for quite a long time. This is the book I tutored and taught from years before I ever worked here. It was just serendipity that I ended up working here. So when I would have a student that would come to me and want to be tutored in statistics, this is the book I would use to tutor them. But that was like, this is the 14th edition. That was like the 10th edition. That's how long ago it was. But this is the book. If you like the way I teach and explain things, this is the book that you want to find. It's been around for a while, so you can find previous editions used. Put it on your shelf for a great reference. This is it. So the way I explain things is how the way this book explained things, because I love it. It's clear. It writes with clarity, and that's what you want. So this is one of them. This is not the one. This is so the next I would show you. So this is the same author team as that one, but this focuses on business analytics. So it goes into other topics. So things like Monte Carlo, some basics of linear optimization. There are things in here. What else is in here that you might not find in a stats book? I know the new edition is going to have some more machine learning type stuff in there, but they're going to cover time series. There's some overlap with stats. What else might you not have in here? Yeah, so classification and regression trees, predictive data mining is in here. This is also the market leading book in its in business analytics. This is the 4th edition. The 5th will be out this year. So you can kind of find previous editions of this as well. So this is a great, great book. In the same family as those is this one. So data visualization book. So it just came out, I think it was last year. So if you're looking more about data viz, it's going to be hard to find used copies of this because it's a first edition that just came out. But I think you can maybe buy it on Amazon or whatever. But these are all from the same author team, so they're all written in the same clear way. So these are books that I work on the product side every day. So while the authors write it, our product team, me included, heavily influences how it turns out. So those are that. And then there are like 20 something other books. But as far as the topics I cover on my channel, those are the 3 that I recommend. Okay. Especially the first one, the business stats book. It's been around since like the late 70s. So you can find used copies. If you go back to the 13th edition, is probably as far back as I would go, but 13th, 14th is that one. So, yeah. So this is it. If you also want to learn business statistics, but more with an Excel bent or focus, they also have this one. So this is modern business statistics. The difference between this one and this one, the modern business statistics book has more of an Excel focus throughout, whereas this one is more like traditional. It's more math-based and stuff like that. So Excel, not as much Excel, but there's Excel in there, but this is like Excel infused, I would say. Okay. So, and that's been around for a while too. You can check those out. So you can look for statistics for business and economics or modern business statistics. We call them SBE and MBS internally. So those are the books I recommend. And I would recommend those books, Brad, even if I didn't work there, because they're that good. And I was using the first one, like I said, years and years ago. All right. Glenn, we're going to wrap this up here in a couple minutes. Is how I make sure the coffee shops in Ohio are surviving for my next trip to visit my son. There you go. We keep the coffee shops going. That's where I park my butt and work for like, 3-4 hours. So that's what I'm going to do after this. Jerry. Hi, Jerry. As an undergraduate, I have to submit a project topic on time series. and I don't know how to come up with a good topic. Wish I can get help on how to go about it. Well, I would say two things here, Jerry. Don't make your time series project on predicting stock prices or cryptocurrency or anything like that, okay? Don't do that. Number two, I would say, think about something you're interested in. So, do you have a natural interest in something that's not those things? Is there a current, are there events going on, like in your local community or in your country or whatever else, wherever you happen to be from? Is there something going on around you that could be analyzed using time series data? That could be anything from government statistics to environmental issues to educational type issues. There are lots of things. I mean, everything happens over a period of time, but find something that's just interesting to you. It's much better, Jerry, for you to pick something that you're naturally interested in than trying to maybe find some topic externally you think someone else will want. So if you pick something you're interested in, you'll be much more involved, much more passionate about it, be much more engrossed in it, more motivated. So think of some things that you're interested in and then go from there when it comes to looking at a time series topic. That's what I would do. For example, part of the videos I'm going to be releasing on YouTube here in the next few months is based on a personal project I've been working on. So what I've been doing over the past more than 12 months now is every month I go online and download the data for the amount of electricity I use in my home. So every month I capture that data. Then for that month, I go capture all the weather data for that month. I also capture things like, was I out of town on that day, or whatever else. So I'm capturing all this personal, sort of data that's related to how much energy I use. And then I want to make, YouTube videos and stuff using R. But it's a personal project of mine because I want to obviously be as efficient as possible with my usage of electricity, and I want to keep track of it. So that sort of thing is what I'm thinking about here. So Jerry, think of something that you're naturally interested in. If you can merge that with an issue that's sort of going on around you, then that's great. You can put the two together. And then, of course, that's assuming you understand how to analyze time series data, which is something that is going on my channel right now, okay? So I hope that helped, but I think once you have the skills and knowledge on how to analyze the data, the really important thing is to pick something that you're invested in, that you are passionate about or you're interested in, and put those two together, and the end product will just be so much better than fishing around for a topic that you think other people might want. So do something that you care about. Because when you do work like that you care about, the end product is almost always better than if you're trying to meet someone else's obligation, assuming you have the freedom to choose the topic. All right. Okay. So I'm going to wrap this up here in a second. Any last minute comments or questions? And Jerry, if you have any specific questions about that, the best place to reach me is on LinkedIn if we're connected on there. If not, if you're on LinkedIn, make sure you connect with me on there. That's the best place to chat with me. And I can, give a couple of additional thoughts on that, Or if you come up with an idea and need it kind of refined, I don't mind helping people out for a minute or two. I mean, obviously my time is limited, but if you kind of have an idea and want to run it past me, and it takes me like a minute or two to respond to, I'm more than happy to do that. Or you can come back here in 2 weeks. All right. Speaking of that, the next live stream will be 2 weeks from today, which is March 25th. It'll be the same time, same place, unless anything weird happens, something comes up. But As of right now, the next live stream will be on Saturday, March 25th at noon. So make sure you come with your questions, comments, whatever else you might have, and we'll continue the conversation again in 2 weeks on March 25th. So if we aren't connected on LinkedIn, make sure you do that. Send me a connection on there or a follow or whatever else. That's kind of my spot. I don't have any social media. I deleted it all. So LinkedIn is really the only place that I am, and of course YouTube. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap this up and then head up to the coffee shop and get to work for a few hours and hopefully maybe get a video recorded this weekend on moving averages. So anyway, thank you all so much for stopping by the live stream today. It always warms my heart to see you and talk to you all. So I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday, a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you again here in 2 weeks. All right? Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.